Alpha Project All Stars is on the 14th of March, Healy Park in Oma, and for the first time ever, we are the headline, the fight on the card is going to be an amateur fight. I'm joined here today by one half of that featured fight, Mr. Niall Hollywood. How are you?
I'm not too bad, Brian. Thank you very much. I have to say I'm one half of the headline for the Alpha Project, but I'm also two-thirds of the age of it because because the fella I'm fighting is about half my age. But hey, it's going to be a good crack. I'm looking forward to it. Training well, so really going to be a good show. Jerry's been telling me about some of the matchups, and it's going to be an absolute banger of a show.
Yeah, he hasn't actually revealed all the matchups to me yet because I don't think he wants anything been spoiled on here until they're actually announced. But yeah, the Alpha Project. So people would often say to me that, oh, you were the face of the Alpha Project. I don't think I was. I promoted it a lot because of who I was in the MMA community. But for me, you're the face of the Alpha Project because you epitomise everything that the Alpha Project's about. Started off, no experience, had a few fights, dipped your toe in the water, and have since went on to an amateur career. What was your experience as an Alpha Project like, and how did you first become involved in it?
I if I'm the face of the Alpha Project, hey, we're going to need to do some better marketing, but I'll take that. I'll take that, and we'll run with it.
We've got
Um,
AI now. We can filter you.
we're going to need to do something. I was going to Jerry. To be honest with you, I played sport my whole life. I played Gaelic football for my local club. Like most men growing up, I played some kind of sport for their local parish, doing something either if it's soccer, Gaelic, rugby, whatever you're doing. I grew up doing that, and then if I'm honest with you, I quit football. I took a bit of a mental health dip, and I just had to walk away from football, and I just couldn't see myself walking back into the changing room, just dealing with the shit that I was dealing with. And I drifted away. I own a gym here in Cookstown, so I was just doing my own training away. But there was no, it was all on my own. It was all solo. I couldn't see myself training along with other people for a while. Got all my shit straightened out. Got myself pulled back together a bit and sewed up into bits. And Jerry had started the club in Oma, and he was running a boxing class once a week. So I started going to the boxing because I did a bit of boxing, geez, 20, 25 years ago when I was a teenager. And the boxing was deadly. It was a new lease of life for me. It was nice training along with other lads again, doing a bit of boxing. I know I was the oldest man in the club, but I remembered a lot of the moves from boxing, so I was okay. I was comfortable in that environment. And then Jerry mentioned to me one time, sure, why don't you try this Alpha Project? And at that stage, if you had told me I was going to get into a cage and start fighting where you could kick people and choke people and do all these crazy things, I'd have laughed you out of the room. But he kept at me anyway, and he says, "Try it out. Your boxing's good enough that you could probably give it a rattle." So I gave in. I said, "Look, I'll do it, but I'll not be fighting. Look, I'm too old. I'm too long in the tooth. I don't want to be made a fool of." So I went after about 2 or 3 weeks, and we started to learn bits of grappling and things like that. I just found it so addictive. Like I didn't think I would be that interested in the ground game, to be honest with you, because I always assumed from watching UFC and things like that there, when it goes to the ground, that sort of lost me. The interest went for me. I was like, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're trying to do. It looks impressive when they get a good submission, but I don't know what they're at. I don't know how to get into that. I don't know. I can't relate to that. So it was always the striking that interested me. But fast forward a few weeks, and I said to Jerry, you know what? If a match comes up, I'll throw my hat into the ring. I'll have it a go. And lo and behold, at the end of the Alpha Project, we were fighting in the Millennium Forum, and I had never had an experience like it. Walking into a cage, someone closing the cage behind your back, and you just being in there, it's just you, your opponent, and the referee. It ignited some kind of like a
Primal instinct.
primal.
Hmm.
It is that. Like, I'm not a, don't get me wrong, I'm not a violent man. Like, I'm not an angry man, but there is something inside of everybody that it's a good place. If you, like, everybody has it, and this is a really healthy place to put it. Because I don't want to be going around the streets fighting people. I'm never in any altercations or arguing with anybody. If there's an argument, I'll most likely walk away. But in here, whenever you're doing this and it's a competitive thing, it's a healthy place to put it. It's that dark energy or whatever you want to call it. It's a good place to channel. It's a good place to put it. And I have been bitten by the bug ever since. I've been training away at Oma. I can only get twice a week. Just have young kids, so I get in twice a week. I've been working on grappling, working on my striking. I've had a few fights now. I had a few novice fights, and then eventually Jerry says, "Sure, we'll get you some good matches if you turn amateur." And then we took the shin guards off, and it's a very different story whenever you drop those shin guards. But yeah, I've been enjoying it. I lost my first amateur fight to a very good fighter from AFS.
AFS fighter, yeah.
Peter, lovely fella. Been chatting him on and off since, and great fella. Just he had a great game plan for the fight, and I've no like I laugh at people whenever they ask me about fighting. They're like, do you really need to get angry or cross? And I'd like, no, like I sometimes be chatting to my opponents before the fights, and then definitely after them, I'll get a pint with them after them. There's no animosity or anything like that. It's just I'm gonna go and train on as hard as I can and become whatever I can, and then you're gonna go and do the same, and then in the cage we'll see what happens, and we'll go and have a share a pint afterwards. And it's a great the Alpha Project's a great thing, a great initiative, and it's definitely given me a focus for my training. I organise my week now around my training, and it's definitely given me a sort of a more of a path to follow rather than just aimlessly training just for the sake of training.
Yeah, because your,
And
your mindset towards training differs when you are training for something. Now, you talk about Jerry there, been very, very persuasive. Jerry has actually informed me after my last fight that he has added 10 years to my life. You tell that to my knees, because I'm walking and hobbling like an old man. Now, I am a very grappling heavy fighter, because
yeah,
that's what I have been doing. And I, like you, was a bit older, decided to do it because I've been around MMA for going on near 20 years now, since the early chaos. There wasn't even cages when I started watching. I was in a ring. And I could
like
tell you
that's old
stories
school.
about the Elk up in Toom, where there's a nightclub balcony and the guys are leaning over pouring beer into the ring as boys are fighting. But like I like you wouldn't be an aggressive person. But I've think that I've spent the last time trying to defend the sport to people who don't know that it's, yes, it's fighting, yes, there's violence involved, but it's an athletic contest between two equally matched people, equally matched skill sets. and
Yeah,
and that's the way I try and put it on of what MMA is and why I love it so much. So you're undefeated inside the Alpha Project cage. You're 3-0.
yeah.
You're 3-0 as a novice, and then I
I'm
was at your
actually
clan,
3-1 as a novice. I had a fight in Jerry ran the Ulster
the wee
MMA
leagues.
Championships in
Yeah,
Oma,
yeah.
and I lost that fight. So I'm 3-1 as an amateur, 0-1 as a, or sorry, 3-1 as a novice, and 0-1 as an amateur.
So you talked about the difference there between novice to amateur. Was
Yeah.
there a difference in terms of your training, in terms of your conditioning, or did you train just as hard for the novice fights as you did for the amateur fights?
I think for the novice fights, especially because I was coming up through the Alpha Project, I had no awareness of grappling and had no awareness of like energy preservation or like when we went to ground, the first thing I would do is grab onto you and hold onto you as tight as I could. And sure, you know yourself, if I'm squeezing you as hard as I can for 30 seconds, 45 seconds, my arms are going to gas and I'm
Yeah,
going to be very vulnerable then after that. So it was really for those fights, it was different. Like, I actually broke a bone in my foot in the first Alpha Project I did. I spent the last 6 weeks just doing cardio machines because I couldn't train on the mats. So I was very much relying on whatever I had built up in the first 6 weeks of it or whatever it was, and I spent the last 5 or 6 weeks on cardio machines because I'd broken a bone in my foot. So whenever moving up to amateur, I suppose you know that you're going to the longer rounds. You know that there's more tools available to you if you do go to ground. So there's ground and pound available to you.
yeah.
There's more ways you can win the fight on the ground. So I wasn't as worried. Not that I wasn't as worried, but the if we went to ground in the novice fight, it was right. I'm either going to have to try and grapple or I'm going to have to try and get the hell up again because there's not much point throwing body shots on the ground. You know yourself, it's not that effective a body
Oh,
shot
I
on the
know.
ground.
Oh, I know.
So now I'm more okay. If I go to ground now, there's a lot more tools available to me. I can hammer fist, I can ground a pound. There's a lot more things I can do. But I have been working on rounding out my MMA game now, with the grappling side of things. So Jerry's been torturing me with grappling basically every time I come into sparring. I was like, "Are we doing striking today?" He's like, "Nah, grappling rounds. Let's go." So trying to become a more well-rounded fighter. Also, not ignoring the fact that I am 39 and I do have to treat my training. I have to train the way I can recover. I can train as hard as I want as long as I can recover from it.
Yes.
But it's you know yourself. It's something you have to consider when you're a bit of an older athlete. Like you can't just go in and go gung ho. I've done that in the earlier maybe alpha projects that I've done. I've done all the training. I've went 100%, and then I've died for 3 days after, and I wasn't able to train properly the next session. So I've learned to manage the load a wee bit better. But the main thing for me, the main benefit from doing this for me is getting into a group setting again and training with other lads. Like training in a club with coaches, watching your training and saying, "Here's what you're going to work on. These are your weaknesses. Here's what we're going to round you out with." and then training with the other lads and being in part of a group and that camaraderie aspect of it,
Yeah.
that's been the biggest game changer for me, because I can train away. Like, I own a gym, so I've no issue getting training in. But there's something about walking into a room and training with other people that brings that extra 10-20% out of you. I'll work far harder in a room full of cubs that are half my age, because I don't want to be the last one. Like, I know I'm the oldest one there, but I'm not going to be the one who gives up first. I'm not going to be the one who's in the last. I'm going to put the effort in, and that just, it brings that out of you, I think. And the Alpha Project's a great vehicle for that, to start you out, because you're not just going to walk into an MMA gym probably and jump into their normal sessions. And this is a great wee segue to getting into something, I guess.
Yeah, I often, when I was speaking to Dave Farrell on the interview, I says the Alpha Project is like whenever you're on holidays and you don't want to dive straight into the pool, you dip your toe in first. That's what the Alpha Project was. This podcast is sponsored by King of Comps. Follow them on Facebook, Instagram, or kingofcomps.co.uk for your chance to win life-changing prizes with realistic odds. Win cars, cash, holidays, and instant prizes from as little as 1p. That's kingofcomps.co.uk. But I 100% sympathise with you about being the older guy in the room, and you you feel that there's a lot more riding on it from you. But the great thing about working with guys, and you'll probably agree, in a gym setting, there's guys that will have skills that you don't, and then you will have skills that they don't, and you actually find yourself actually working together. And once you start to work with people and they start working with you, everybody comes up together, and that's what people don't see about coming into an MMA gym. They think it's scary and they think it's full of egos, but it's actually not. Everybody's coming together for the one goal.
Yeah. And I think the thing that, whenever I was younger, when I boxed when I was in my teens, so I say maybe 15 or 16, I would have been doing a lot more boxing, and I was playing football at the same time. The thing that appealed to me in boxing was always, when you step into the ring, you're on your own, and if you haven't done the work, you're going to be found out. In a football match, if you're having a bad game, the team can sometimes absorb that, and you get away with it. And I liked both. I liked the team aspect of training and playing together, and you win together, and you lose together, and you rise together. And then boxing was always like, it's an individual sport, but you're training in a club with your teammates, and if you're not pulling together as a team, if that rising tide isn't raising all the ships, like, you are going to get found out in the club. So if you're not being a good team member and helping out your teammates, and if they're not being good team members and helping you out, you are going to get found out inside the ring. And there's nothing worse than being face to face with somebody who's trying to take the head off you, and you're lacking, like, you're just not, you haven't got what it takes, and then you can go away then and see, well, what was missing there. But like, I've noticed in the Alpha Project especially, there's times where we're showing something, especially in the grappling arena, we're showing something, we go down to do it, and I'm like, did you remember that? Because I cannot remember where we're supposed to. And like, that wee bit of help and that coaching each other, and then you're figuring things out as you go along. And we're very fortunate in Oma. We have 2 professionals, soon to be maybe 3 or 4 on Virtus. I don't know if the 4th one might be announced yet, but like Wednesday night, for instance, we had Billy Sutherland taking us through some grappling, and it was brilliant. It's such a great session, such a great wealth of knowledge, and learning from a professional fighter. Like, it's extreme stuff. Like, sometimes you watch stuff on YouTube and you get it, but you go to try it and you're like, I don't understand. I don't understand what I've done wrong there. But when you've got someone there that likes of Damian McKenna, that likes of Billy, and the likes of Callan Peace, who's going to be turning pro now on Virtus as well, like, showing you things, small wee things that I would never have dreamt would have made a difference, make a massive difference. Like, and that's, you gain a whole new appreciation too for the likes of the grappling. Now, I would have always assumed if I was on my back, I was assuming, right, I'm losing now because I'm on my back. Now that I know there's so many different things you can do to turn this fight back in your favor there, it's amazing.
That was one of the fortunate things I had. So when I fought in the last season of the Alpha Project, and just the times with Evolve didn't suit me, so I only really went down to spar. But my grappling coach is a world champion grappler, and he still competes. So he's, as I always say, he's learning the sport in real time, and then coming back, and he was able to say, no, for your athleticism and your body type, that wouldn't work, but if we just adjust it this way, it might work. And that's priceless, because those guys are in the trenches. They know exactly what you're going through, and they're able to, as well as technically show you what to do, they're also maybe able to like empathize and sympathize with what you're going through and how it is they learn, because they had to learn it too. And that's the great thing about being in the gym. So, Healy Park in Oma, as I was talking to young Owen yesterday, I said, this is Mecca for us Tyrone men.
He's right. This is the Holy Land.
the scene of many's a scrap both on the field and maybe in that GA hall has there's been blood shed before Virtus ever come there. How does it feel to go back, because it's near enough home for you?
I actually do live in Omagh now. I'm from Greencastle originally, a few miles out the road, but I do live in Omagh now, and we can see the lights of Healy Park out of the back of our house. So it is a hometown fight for me. It's deadly. I have joked before when I fought in Virtus the last time in Omagh. It's the first time I've been fighting at Healy Park without football boots on me. Yeah. So it's definitely very cool to be. Like, Virtus is always a good show. The place is always packed out. The noise levels and the atmosphere, and it blow the roof off the place. And in this card, like Jerry has been telling me about the fights, it like there's a lot of shows on around this time of year, and I don't think there's a better card right now that I've seen than Virtus, and I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm excited, and my friends and family, my wife's looking, my wife's looking forward to it. She'll be there covering her eyes, but the kids are mad for it too. Like, since starting and joining the Alpha Project, my kids have started going to the kids' classes as well. So my two eldest are going, and they're mad for it too. Like Damien McKenna and Patter Mackey, who are both fighting out of Omagh. Patter is fighting on Virtus as well. They are coaches in the kids' classes, and like the kids idolise them. So they're looking forward to seeing Patter and hopefully seeing myself do our club justice as well.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I found about, especially during that first season I did of the Alpha Project, was your kids are watching you. Kids will do what you do, not what you say. So they're watching you training hard and achieving something, and then they have their own respective sports that they're now training hard and working towards. So the influence that you're setting to your kids, I fully sympathise with the wife too. I will not fight again, because I can't put her through it again. It's just, especially when first of all, she doesn't understand the appeal that fighting has to me.
Yeah.
And then she has to sit and watch me do it. So I definitely 100% sympathise with your wife, or my wife will sympathise with your wife. But in saying that, my wife come up to watch the last Virtus, the one you were on, and I think she may be coming up to watch it again. So slowly, I'm turning her round.
You're getting
her
into. That's brilliant. Well, the first time I fought, I think I fought it was about 10 years ago. I fought in a white collar boxing thing, and Shannon came along to it, and she had no idea. Obviously, I told her that I used to box, but we had just come home from a holiday. I'd done very little training for it, and then we went, and she was watching me fighting, and after the first round, she was like, she settled, because she was like, okay, I didn't realize you can actually do a bit of boxing here, so you're not just going to get knocked out in the first round. But then whenever I started doing the MMA. I came home that evening from the boxing in Omagh, and I said to her, like, Jerry's on about this Alpha Project thing. And I says, I might try it out if these nights suit. Like, can I get away these nights? And she was like, what does that involve? Like, and I was like, I showed her a video like in the UFC, like kicks and people getting kicked in the head and knee in the face and ground and pound. I was like, well, it's that, only not as good as that. Like, I'll not be as good as that. It'll not be as vicious as that. But I'll give it a rattle. And she's fully embraced it. She loves watching the kids training as well, but she's adamant that they're not going to be fighting anytime soon, hopefully.
So the plans after this fight, are we going to continue fighting? Do you plan to try and kind of get as much out of the body as you can before it shuts down?
That's pretty much exactly it. I had this weird head stagger once I started doing MMA. I went to watch Deadpool and Wolverine, and I seen the shape that Hugh Jackman had got himself in, and I was like, there's no reason why you have to give up on yourself and you reach a certain age. And then I found myself just throwing myself into training, and it's going really well. And my body feels great. There's still niggles and injuries coming up, but that's normal in a combat sport. But now I'll push it as far as I can go. I started following this guy called Paul Reed on MMA, and he put up a great video about him fighting in his 30s and 40s, and maybe even fought when he was 50. And I just said to myself, like, the only limitation that actually matters is the one you place on yourself. So if I just don't place myself any limitations, I'll fight until I feel like if I feel like I was putting myself in too much danger, I'll pull away from it. And don't get me wrong, Louis fought in the last Virtus as well on the Alpha Project, and he's a phenomenal fighter. He's a very good kickboxer, and he's gotten very good at grappling too. So I know this is a dangerous fight for me. I'll see how it goes for me. I'm hoping I can make it a really entertaining fight for everybody, and we'll just come in there and bring the violence, leave it all in the cage, and if I come through it in one piece, I'll be looking for another fight.
Yeah, that's kind of people think about you and they watch you back, because I was watching your fights back there. So you're actually magnetically drawn to Limavady people at the minute. on
I
this
know I
Alpha
can't get
project.
away from you. I think
Um,
it's you guys that are hunting me down.
oh, I'm not
Oh, I
Limavady.
thought you were training with them.
No, I go down that time. I actually fought out of Derry, but I'm actually a Strabane man. So
Yes,
the first fight, so you got a submission. It's Tiernan. You fought twice.
I did. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the first one
Remember
was
you mentioned them.
Americana, I think it was
It
Americana
was
straight iron bar, and
fell into
then
an Americana. Yeah,
yeah, and then your next couple of ones then were TKOs. So you're actually
yes.
one of the things I did notice about you is, yeah, you have got hands. When it comes then to to learning the ground game, how alien did that feel? Because I remember my first time grappling, whereas now
Yeah.
I would be primarily known as a grappler. I have no hands at all. How did it feel the first time you went to the ground?
I was very strange. Like I boxed when I was in my teens, and then I stepped away from boxing to focus on football. So there was very little fighting, organized fighting. Anyway, it was a field fight broke out. There was the odd bit of handbags thrown, but from then on, it was just football. So any kind of combat, anytime I did any combat, it was just boxing training. So no fighting, a few white collar things, and then to try and pick up the grappling was very very alien. But I have to say, a lot more addictive than I thought it was ever going to be. I
Yeah,
didn't think I would be as interested in it, to be honest with you, because it always seemed like the more boring part of the UFC. And don't get me wrong, like I still like watching a good ding dong in the UFC where they're standing, but I appreciate the grappling a lot more now, and I can see what they're trying to do now. I can understand it at a higher level now, and the grappling is something that I've been really really working on, especially for this fight, knowing that Louis is, I think he's a blue belt maybe
yeah.
in BJJ. So I know I'm going to have to be on my game if we go to the ground. I need to be on top. Like I need to be focused on what I'm doing and know what I'm doing straight away. It
So
used to be
any
when I started, we'd go to the ground and I would be like, I don't even know I don't even know what I'm supposed to try now. I don't even know what I'm supposed to shoot for or go for here in this position. And that's the unnerving part is, right, if I'm on my back, what do I do? If I'm in half gear, what do I do? Like I liked boxing because it was natural to me. If I saw an open and I went for the open, so it was more natural. And now the grappling is becoming a much more like that. We were sparring last night and it was grappling rounds. And as I said to the guy who works in the gym with me here, it wasn't just a case of me trying to survive for an hour. I was actually managing pretty well, even against some of the better guys. I was holding my own a lot better now, and that's a great feeling, like a great feeling of progress and momentum. And that's like you're never going to master grappling. Like there's always something else to learn.
Yeah, and people, I remember the first grappling session we had with Evolve in season two, and I had never told anybody that I had competed in grappling and all before, and I remember one of the wee guys was like, "What age are you?" And I says, "I'm 42," and he's like, "I've done a bit of grappling before. I'll keep you right." And
You're sandbagging you here.
I sandbagged him, man, and as I sunk in a rear naked choke, I whispered in his ear, "I've done grappling before."
Nay, nay.
But that's the thing about it. As much as I hate to bring this subject up here, I have to give Jerry praise. As much as it breaks
Do we
my
have
heart
to?
to give him any kind of praise, how great has Jerry been through all this Alpha project? Not just with you guys, but with everything. It was his mad idea. I often say that he actually started the Alpha project just to see me get in and get beat up.
This is
But
a passion
he's been
project. He wants to
amazing.
see you get hurt.
Yeah, how good has Jerry been?
Jerry's been deadly. As I said, like my whole family's ingrained in the club now. My kids go, I'm there. Shannon's there lifting the kids all the time. So we see a lot of Jerry and have a lot of time for him. He loves. I think he loves making a rod for his own back. Like all of these things must be a logistical nightmare for him.
Yeah,
Whether it be Virtus or an Alpha project or whatever he comes up with next. But he's the right man for the job because he puts on a hell of a show, and anything that he turns his mind to or turns his hand to becomes a great success. Like you just have to look at the success of OMA as a club. As I say, we'll have multiple professionals by the end of this year. We'll have maybe doubled or quadrupled the number of professionals in the club. The Alpha Project's going from strength to strength. Like anybody I know, and even the boys from other clubs that I've been talking to about the Alpha Project, anybody who's went through it, and it's as cheesy and as corny as it sounds, it's a life altering experience
yeah,
because you've just done something that the vast majority of the populace will never do. You've, even if you don't fight, you've trained MMA, you've picked up a skill set that'll be so valuable to you. You've made bonds, you've made friendships, and you've come away with a whole new subset of friends, a community that you can be part of now. And I'm eternally grateful for Jerry for pestering me into doing it. Again, as you say, my knees might not be grateful for it, but I'm grateful for it. It's given me and my training a whole new lease of life. And I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah, I've often referred to the Alpha Project as the ultimate human transformation experience.
Hmm. I agree.
So,
I agree
well,
completely.
before we finish it up here now, just a wee kind of thing. If you're talking to somebody or somebody's kind of on the fence about whether they should do the Alpha Project or even go on to train MMA or any kind of combat sport, what advice would you give them, especially as the older competitor or somebody who got into it a wee bit later?
Yeah.
What
I
advice would
I
you
give
give?
them the same I give them the same advice that I give people when they start in my gym. The kindest thing you can do when you start something new is to approach it with a beginner's mindset and just accept that at the start you're going to be pretty shit at it. And as you show up and you commit to it and you keep showing up and you keep taking on your coach's advice, you're going to get better at it. And when you build some momentum at anything, whatever you're doing, and especially something like this, momentum is the thing that will motivate you to keep going. And whenever you see progress and whenever you see that wee bit of light at the end of the tunnel, you're getting the hang of some grappling moves, you're getting the hang of the striking, the timing, the conditioning, whatever it is. You'll not want to turn back. You'll not want to stop. Like boys used to say to me about before I started it, I was like, I used to do a bit of boxing, and your man said I used to do a bit of boxing, then I did a bit of kickboxing, and then I could never go back to boxing. And now I've done a bit of MMA, I can never go back to kickboxing. Like you'll open up a whole new skill, and I suppose it's a hobby that you'll never master. You'll always want to be trying to get better at it, no matter what your fitness level is. There's always something, and especially the grappling end of things. It's like a can of worms. You open it up, and you can never get them back in.
We'll wrap it up here now. Just so for anybody who's listening, it's going to be the Alpha Project All Stars is Healy Park in Oma, the 14th of March. Tickets are now on sale. Follow the Virtuous on Instagram and click the link. Get your tickets. Come and see all the guys getting into the cage. Some of them second or third time complete beginners, and just see how much they're loving it. I will be on commentary, so just proves how mad Jerry is. He's letting me talk about fighting. I'm very limited in my vocabulary because I swear a lot, so that's going to be a thing. See Niall make history in the Alpha Project cage by being the first amateur fight as he headlines the Alpha Project All Stars card, then followed by another night of fantastic fights on Virtus. Thanks very much for your time, Niall.
Absolute pleasure, Brian. I've been enjoying these episodes. Many more to come. Hopefully, keep her lit. You're doing a great job, lad.
Thank you very much.